This is Marty from Photoshop Arthouse. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to transform photos into the retro pixel effect of the early Nintendo Game Boy handheld consoles. For your convenience, I provided a PSD file that includes a close-up image of a Game Boy screen. It also includes a channel containing the shape of the inside of the screen, and I provided a link to the Game Boy font in case you'd like to add text to your image. Open a photo of someone or something that you'd like to use for this project. Check its size and resolution by pressing Ctrl-Alt-I on Windows or Command-Option-I on a Mac, or you could go to Image and Image Size. Set the resolution to 300 pixels per inch. The overall size can be anything. The first step is to separate our subject from the background. There are many ways to do this, however, for this example, let's open the Quick Selection tool and click Select Subject at the top. Photoshop automatically creates a selection around our subject. Click the Layer Mask icon to make a layer mask of the selection next to the layer. This masks out everything surrounding the subject. We'll place a white background under it. To do this, make a new layer below it by Ctrl or Command clicking the New Layer icon. Before we fill the empty layer with white, if our foreground and background colors aren't black and white, press D on your keyboard. We want black to be our foreground color and white to be our background color. If the colors are reversed, press X. To fill our empty layer with the background color, press Ctrl or Command plus Delete. Next, we'll convert our visible image into a smart object so we can modify it non-destructively. Shift-click the top layer to make it active as well, and click the icon at the upper right corner. Click Convert to Smart Object. Go to Filter and Filter Gallery. To see your entire image, zoom out by pressing Ctrl or Command and the minus key a couple of times. Open the Sketch folder and choose Photocopy. For this image, I'll set the detail to 20 and the darkness to 34. Keep in mind that every image has its own brightness, contrast, and tonal characteristics. The filter setting amounts I'm using for this image may need adjusting for yours. Double-click this icon to open the Blending Options window. Reduce the opacity to 50%, then click OK or press Enter or Return. Go back to Filter, Pixelate, and Mosaic. Set the cell size to 30 square. Go to Image, Adjustments, and Threshold. Threshold converts the image into a high-contrast, binary black and white image. It defaults to 128. Moving the slider to the right increases the black areas, while moving it to the left increases the white areas. For this image, I'll set it to 149. We'll clean up the tiny stray black and white squares next. We'll create a custom brush that's 30 pixels square to match the squares that make up our pixelated subject. Press Z to open the Zoom tool and drag over one of the stray squares to zoom into it. Open the Rectangular Marquee tool and position it precisely on one corner of the square. Press and hold Shift as you drag the selection to the opposite corner. Holding Shift keeps the selection perfectly square. Press Ctrl or Command J to copy the square onto its own layer. It's too small to see in the Layers panel, but it is there. Zoom back out by pressing Ctrl or Command 0. Click the eyeball icon next to the head to temporarily hide the layer so we can see the tiny square and save it as a brush. Go to Edit and define Brush Preset. Name it 30 Square and click OK or press Enter or Return. Now that we've saved it as a custom brush, We can delete the square from the Layers panel by pressing the Delete key and making the head visible again. Click the New Layer icon to create a new layer and name it White Squares. Create another layer above it and name it Black Squares. Hide the top layer and make the White Squares layer active. Press X to invert the foreground and background colors so white is the foreground color. Open the Brush tool and Brush Picker. At the bottom of the panel, click the square brush we created. Brush over the black squares you want to hide. To make a straight line, press and hold Shift as you drag the brush. To fill in black areas, make the black squares layer visible and active. Press X so black is the foreground color, and brush over the stray white squares with black to fill them in. Click the Adjustment Layer icon and choose Solid Color. In the hexadecimal field, type in 2831116. Change the blend mode to lighten. Shift-click the subject layer to make it active as well, and convert them into one smart object. Press V to open the Move tool, and drag the pixelated subject onto the tab of the Game Boy image. Without releasing your mouse or pen, drag it down and release. Reduce its opacity temporarily to see the screen beneath it. Open the Channels panel. If you don't see it, go to Window and Channels. Control or Command-click the Alpha 1 thumbnail to load its shape as a selection. Open back the Layers panel and click the Layer Mask icon to make a layer mask of the selection next to the subject. Click the Chain Link icon to unlink the mask from the layer. This allows us to resize or reposition either of them independently of the other. Make the subject active. To adjust its size and position, press Ctrl or Command-T to open the Transform tool. Make sure the chain link between the transform's width and height is active to constrain proportions. Now, drag either of them to the left or right to adjust its size. To reposition it, go inside the transform's bounding box and drag it. Then press Enter or Return, or click the check mark at the top. Increase its opacity back to 100%. Lastly, change the blend mode to multiply. This is Marty from Photoshop Arthouse. Thanks for watching. And remember, be safe and be kind. See you next time.